Hi, this is Darren Hubbis with Par 4 Fitness, and I am joined with us today with Ailsa Clark. She is a senior on the Florida Gulf Coast University women's golf team. You may know her. She's been interning with me this spring. Unfortunately, we're separate right now. Elsa's up at her home in Bradenton, but what we wanted to talk about today was the life of a college athlete, in particular a college golfer. So it kind of gives us an inside look at, okay, what are these NCAA athletes doing on a day-to-day practice schedule? What's their travel life like? How do they get through school, managing things like that? What's a team atmosphere like? Because it's probably vastly different than maybe what you imagined, um, or different, especially from an amateur golfer's perspective too. So, what's we'll start off with this. What's really made you pick Florida Gulf Coast University over some other schools you've been looking at or gotten offers from?
So I got started really late to the sport. I didn't start playing until I was 12, turning 13. And I was young for my age, so it was the summer before my freshman year of high school. And so I really just got into it. My dad took me to, they used to host the Mobile Classic in Magnolia Grove, Alabama. So he took me to the tournament, and I just fell in love with the game. And I decided that I wanted to start playing. So like I said, got started really young. And then I was always behind the curveball, always looking at where I wanted to go. My ultimate dream was to play for University of Florida, and I got into the school academically, but I knew that I wasn't going to play golf. So it was a tough decision to make, but I actually had my national letter of intent to two junior colleges, prepped and ready. And then around Christmas of my senior year, I sent out one last email to a couple different schools, and Coach True at FGCU emailed me back, and we scheduled for a visit the second week in June. I went down there, I met the girls, I met the coaches, and I felt like it was home. It was the next step, and it just felt right. And so 2 weeks later, I committed, and that was that.
Nice. That's something we always talk about with our juniors and their swing coaches as well, because I think finding the right fit in terms of location, number one, but also your teammates, but especially your coach. Yeah, you have to have some type of relationship there. Otherwise, it doesn't really work. So I think a lot of kids, especially, want to go the D1 route or like the big schools first. When in actuality, they might not get the playing experience that you've had at FGCU, but you do get some wins under your belt, and you're playing at a very high level, and that's helped you grow into the player that you've become. So kind of walk us through like the typical practice schedule. I know you're limited to your hours and how much you can meet as a team, but then you have additional homework. You've got tutoring that you have to go through, at least the first year. So kind of walk us through that.
So typical practice schedule is Monday through Friday, usually 2:30 to 5:30 every day. And then you get a vibe for the team. You try to figure each other out. And the thing that I appreciated a lot about this year, there were only 7 of us, but everyone had the same work ethic. Everyone was at the course an hour before, stayed 30, 45 minutes late. The girls really did a good job of balancing. And so as a freshman, you have to do study hall hours. You have to do 8 hours of study hall. So the athletic department actually just built us a brand new facility where we could go and study, lots of computers, plenty of tables, a really quiet environment. So when we didn't want to be at home in our dorm studying, we had to be there. Like I said, freshmen had to do 8 hours there. But for me, I would just go in there and study. And, it was just a really good environment. So we would have practice schedules 2:30 to 5:30 every day. Like I said, people would get there early, and then we had 3 workouts a week. So Tuesdays and Fridays, 6 a.m. We would do a mix of cardio and resistance training, lifting, abdominals, everything. It was pretty much a full body workout. And then on Thursday afternoons, we would do pool workouts. which consisted of all the different strokes. Yes, golfers can do backstroke and breaststroke, everything. And so we would swim laps for about 45 minutes and then do different relay races to build team bonding. And then on the weekends, we usually would do qualifying. So we would go to a neighbor course and compete against each other for the 5 spots. And then one of the days of the weekend was usually off. So that was just a typical week.
Yeah, in terms of workouts, I like how you varied what you're doing. So swimming one day, maintaining your well-rounded athletic ability, especially when you're in a sport where you're golf all the time. When you're not studying, it's important to have that balance. And I think that's something that our club members can take away too, is because they're golfing sometimes every day of the week and they're not getting a break. Where it's good to balance that with your workouts, maybe just bicycling, going on the rower. I know some people have Peloton, or just playing tennis, something just to mix it up. It keeps you healthier in the long run. Sorry, Ailsa, what was that?
It's really important to take that stress off your body. So for me, a good stress reliever was running. I'll run, 3 to 4 miles about 4 times a week, and it can get really hard on your knees, especially as a golfer. You need your knees in your swing. And so the swimming was just an added benefit to just make it different. Still get the cardio in, still get that workout in, just not as hard on your body.
Yeah, because you're having to walk during these tournaments that you're going to as well,
yeah.
right? So you're sometimes playing upwards of 36 holes on particular days. Maybe sometimes even cramming in a little bit more in certain situations. You have to be prepped and ready for that. So the fitness is an important aspect of that. Was there maybe times where you found it difficult? Because I know going from junior golf, you don't really have that situation very often. Very rarely do you have to walk or play 36. But how do you transition into that? I guess at least just mentally.
I would say my freshman year was really like a turning point for me. Going in that first event, we did play 36 holes, and it blows your mind. You're like, oh, okay. And you just kind of have to learn that golf is a marathon, not necessarily a sprint. But for me, the most difficult part was the mental game, because I would finish 18 and be like, oh, I'm done. And mentally, I would be exhausted, and it was like, no, you're only halfway done. You have another 18 more holes to go. So I think the biggest thing was just learning how to pace yourself throughout the round. I can think back to my freshman year, and I was one of those players who stayed focused throughout the entire round. Like, it didn't matter if I was walking up the fairway. I was like, where's my ball at? What do I have to do next? And after my freshman year, I kind of got into this mindset of just, okay, let's look at the trees, let's look at the birds, like look at other things in between your shots, so that then you're not wasting mental power when you're not actually hitting.
Right, you have to check out every once in a while in between shots, and it's nice walking because you have a bit more time than if you're in a cart. Was there anything that you changed nutrition-wise to help get through those longer days where you're playing 36?
Yes. So for me, my freshman year, the freshman 15 exists. I did it. And I didn't really know how to cook. I just kind of made chicken, but like didn't really make it. It didn't taste good. So I just kind of tried to just survive at that point. And then my sophomore year, I came home for my sophomore year, lost the 15, and just realized like, okay, I can't eat these things. There's certain things that I can eat. So rather than stick to granola bars and goldfish and crackers, I went more to the fruit route. So, I mean, I'll eat 2 bananas, 2 apples around, and that's what keeps me going. Or I'll get protein sticks like Slim Jims or different things like that. About the only granola bar I'll eat is the Nature Valley bars, but I stick to only 1 around. But fruits and veggies, I'll bring carrots out there, I'll bring cucumbers out there, but really just the natural fruits and vegetables is just the best thing for me on the course.
Yeah, because I always say it's most important on those longer days, or even just playing 18 holes, is to maintain your blood sugar levels as much as you can. So if you're getting this shot of sugar with your Gatorades, or like even some of the Nature Valley bars are high sugar content, high carb content. So you get this spike in blood sugar, and then you're gonna tank afterwards. So if you got something with some protein, some fiber, a little bit of fat in it, that helps maintain the blood sugar level throughout the day, especially. But that's something that you can take into your normal day when you're not playing golf as well.
And I'm not a Gatorade drinker. Some people are. I don't really like it, so I kind of stick away from it. I usually drink water. I just got into a Pedialyte phase, so I drink some Pedialyte. It's high in sodium, so it's just dependent upon, if it's really hot and you are using those electrolytes, then it's a good resource to add back in.
Yeah, you have to replace them.
Exactly.
So what was a travel day like, or multiple days? Tell us the worst travel experience, because I know you went through one recently this spring.
Yes.
Give us a brief background on that, because FGCU is not taking private jets like Justin Thomas or Jordan Spieth would lead you to believe. Life is a little bit different here in Southwest Florida.
So believe it or not, that actually wasn't the worst travel story we had. So this past semester, we were on our way to Jacksonville. We rented a van, and we were almost to Sarasota. So we were about an hour 10 minutes in, and we looked, and the gauges just stopped working. So we had no idea how fast we were going, how much gas we had in the tank. We ended up stopping in Sarasota to try to swap out vans. They didn't have anything available, so we had to drive back down, switch out vans in Fort Myers, and then go back up. Keep in mind, we're going to Jacksonville, so it's like a 6-hour drive. But that's actually not the worst thing that happened. So last year at conference, we were in the airport. Conference is in Atlanta, Georgia, and so we usually fly to conference. So we're in the airport, and our flight is scheduled to leave at 11. And 9:30 rolls around, and our coach is like, okay, so the flight's delayed. We're going to take off about 2. We're like, okay, no worries. We'll just hang out here, do some homework in the airport, whatever. So 2 o'clock rolls around, and they're like, it's delayed till 3:30. 3:30 rolls around, and they're like, all right, your flight is canceled. And we're like, okay. So we have to get to conference somehow, because this is a Friday. Saturday we have the practice round, and the tournament Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So our coach is like, all right, I'm going to go see what they have downstairs for rental cars. So we're thinking, we don't have the van, the boys drive. So the boys go to the same course that we have, and they're in their van on their way up. And so she's like, all right, I got a van. And so we're thinking like, oh, this is going to be a big like travel van. No, it's a minivan. And she pulls up in this minivan, and she's like, get in. And all of us are like, we look at our assistant coach, and we're like, she's joking, right? And she just looks at, she's like, she's not joking, like, get in. So there's 5 girls, 2 coaches. Every girl had a suitcase. Every girl had a travel bag with their golf clubs in them. And then coach's bag was just as big as a travel bag. She had the med kit in there, snacks, everything. And then we had 5 backpacks and 3 push carts. So they're
like the Clampets from the Beverly Hillbillies.
Exactly. We fit all of this in one minivan, like a minivan. So the 3 of us were in the back, and I remember my feet being like this, like scrunched up against my body. The 2 people who were in the front, like in the middle 2 seats, were pushed all the way up, and our 2 coaches were in the front. We fit it all in there, and we drove Friday night to Valdosta, and then Saturday morning we drove from Valdosta to Atlanta. But all of us fit in this van. There was one point coach was driving, and she like went to switch lanes, and she turned and looked to her side, and like Madeline's head was like right here, just because we were all slammed in together.
Not your ideal situation when going to conference.
No. It's not usually like that, but that is definitely the funniest.
It would have been a little more comfortable on the plane, I'm sure. But yeah, some things we have to make some adjustments on the go, right?
Yep.
We'll end this off. I know you've had some really great experiences. What's your favorite experience playing in college? I know it sounds like you're going to have maybe another year left here coming up, but what's been the highlight so far?
I would say I have 2. Personally, just every day being able to spend with my best friends. I do consider my teammates to be my best friends. We laugh, we joke, but we also know how to have serious time to work hard and to focus towards our goals. So honestly, the van rides are just the best. You're just being dumb, just girls, just talking, getting to know each other. So probably the team bonding is one of my favorite experiences. But the second was I came into college wanting to win a tournament, and a year ago I was playing. I had the lead after the first day. It was 36 holes, and I didn't know where I was. I didn't look at any results. And I just remember, talking to my parents after the round. I had 18 to go the next day, and they asked me. They said, don't think about it. Like, what's your plan tomorrow? Like, what do you? And I just looked at them, and I was like, if it's in the plan for me to win, then it's in the plan. But I'm not going to put that pressure on me, on myself, on my game. And so the next day, I just went out and played my game. I was able to win the event, shooting one under the last day. And just being able to go and hug my parents afterwards, it was just like the most surreal feeling. It's like when you accomplish something that you have worked so hard for, it's just one of those moments that you'll never forget.
Yeah, and that's great advice for, really any player at any level, up to the professional ranks and down to the juniors, is to really just kind of appreciate the time that you can put into your process. And if you reach those goals, then great. If not, you've put your work in and done as much as you can to get there.
Exactly.
Well, I want to thank you for joining me today and just giving us a brief look at what the life of a college golfer looks like. Thank you, Ailsa.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.